The majority of people have a mass misconception of what genetic engineering, as it applies to humans, is. There's two main aspects. The first is designer babies. Now essentially, what a designer baby is taking a baby's or an embryo's chromosomes and DNA and simply telling the cells which genes to listen to. For example, if a baby is heterozygous for hair color, they have both a brunette gene and a blonde gene. We're simply telling their chromosomes, and therefore their genes, which traits to listen to. Now this applies to hair color, eye color, etc. The fact is, we're simply telling cells which genes to listen to. Now as it applies to removing genetic disorders and mutations, or adding genes that aren't in the cells, this is where we get into the medical aspect of genetic engineering. And this goes something like this. We start by removing cells, embryonic cells, from the amniotic fluid surrounding the fetus. Once these are removed from the womb, they're then grown in a laboratory. Now, what we do is, assuming we've detected a genetic mutation within the genes, we remove that gene and then add proteins and other ingredients to increase the cell's strength, and we reinsert them into the baby after it has been born. Now, say the baby has eye cancer or a heart deficiency, what we'll do is we'll take these cells that we've continued to grow in a lab, the corrected cells, if you may, and reinsert them into the affected area of the child. Essentially, these genes and these cells will teach the rest of the cells and genes within the baby how to prevent this genetic disorder. It's essentially like a specialized antibiotic for the child after they've already been born. Now the other aspect to this is when a child's cells and genes don't have a certain required gene to function. This is far riskier because what we have to do is we have to add a new gene to their DNA. The only problem with this is that the risk factor is far greater because you can trigger immune responses since it's not the baby's actual DNA. But regardless, this is an overall summary of how genetic engineering takes place. Thank you.
Some problems addressed by genetic engineering are that they prevent birth deficiencies and genetic disorders such as cancer and Asperger's. And some parents also want the best for their child by genetically engineering.
There are two main controversies to genetic engineering. There's the ethical, in which we must determine whether it is just to alter human nature and God's creation, as well as the medical controversy, in which subjects have experienced injuries, death, and the future contain many risks ahead.